Yo, in this video, we'll be looking at strange and bizarre TikToks that are going to make you question everything. Is this recent? I know there was a lot of storms in Texas recently, but it's been a lot of storms in Texas for a while now, actually. Man. So tornadoes, as destructive as they are, they fascinate me still. It's like a vortex or something. You know, and I know they say it's because of, the weather conditions, hot and cold or whatever like that. But I feel like there's there's something else that, we don't know about that causes tornadoes. Something with that vortex and the spin and I think it's just because I watched that Terence Howard interview, and that's what he's talking about, a lot of vertices and vortexes and all of that. So maybe that's why.
Since I've been on the subject of the Met Gala, I just feel like every single year I have the same thought, and that this is literally the Hunger Games. And this year proves no different. First of all, Lucy Gray is literally in the Capitol. Look at what they literally had at this Met Gala. Yes. Even last year when Doja Cat wore this cat look. Like, tell me this does not remind you of Tigress in Hunger Games.
So Usher's got some really good songs and hits, but there's something really creepy about this particular video recorded in this year's Met Gala. Check this out.
Usher! Hey! I'm doing well, how are you? I'm good.
Good to see you, baby.
Please tell me about your look.
Alexander McQueen, it's a one-of-one. Sean McGuire and myself decided to put this amazing thing together.
So he's being super nice to this person, he's answering all her questions. Up until now, everything is as it should. But then, this happens. Pay very close attention.
Exotic, romantic, and but still within the garden theme.
And tell me about
It's all a part of it. Just everything. You're looking at this is a true thought, like a cohesive, full thought.
So he begins explaining how everything that you're looking at is a cohesive, full thought when she asks him about his grills. It's quite weird. When he's talking about it, I feel as if he's talking about something else and not the grills itself.
Right.
And then this happens.
And how did you interpret the theme tonight?
Just as that. I wanted it to be exotic. There's all different types of gardens. Some of them get a little dark, but you gotta have fun, right?
What is going on here? What exactly is he talking about? And if we zoom in this particular moment, you'll notice that we can't see his pupils. It's as if his eyes went full dark. As if he's not even human, or at least this is what a lot of people on the internet are saying. Is he maybe using some sort of lens, or is there something else entirely going on here, something far more sinister? What's your take?
Yo, my take is something happened to Usher once he got his little residency in Vegas. He got the whole little Super Bowl, you dig? Yeah, there's definitely something going on with Usher. Y'all let me know what y'all think it is, though.
9 pillars of light were seen in the skies in Japan. And everyone is going crazy over this. They say it's an alien invasion, but these 9 streaks of light, there's a science behind it. Supposedly, these are called light pillars, and they're a natural phenomenon where the boats actually cast the light and it goes up into the sky and it gives this effect. So I looked up some pictures. There are some pictures. Now, what is seen right here, these 9 pillars that appeared in Japan, these look different in my opinion. But check this video out.
Yeah. Yo. Dude.
Also, a meteor shower was captured, which was pretty phenomenal as well.
That's a meteor shower.
But what do you think? Do you think this is truly an alien invasion, like everyone's saying, or do you think that it's these light pillars cast from the boats? That's what the light pillars look like.
Yeah, I've seen light pillars before. No, those don't look like light pillars.
You want to hear a conspiracy theory about the Met Gala? I think that they picked the dress code in order to get Zendaya into John Galliano. The theme of the night was Sleeping Beauties, but according to reporting in The Cut, Anna Wintour and head curator Andrew Bolton wanted the theme to be John Galliano, but members of the board were like, nah, he's problematic, we can't do it. So they chose Sleeping Beauties in honor of garments that can't be worn anymore. But then they added this dress code, right? This dress code based on a 1962 short story by J.G. Ballard, who's a sci-fi author who wrote dystopian stories about class hierarchies often and their inevitable conclusions. And the story is like so wildly on the nose. It's literally about a count and countess who hoard beauty as a means of keeping the angry masses at bay. This count and countess live in this beautiful estate villa, and on the horizon, an angry mob is approaching. And so to keep the mob from approaching their villa, the count picks these time flowers. He has this special garden of time flowers. They don't regrow, but every time he picks one, it turns back time. And so it's like they're keeping the masses at bay by like robbing the garden of its beauty and its time. And like the elites at Vogue and Met and like whoever's in charge of picking the dress code, like being so boldly on the nose about your wealthy, extravagant greed, like, can't be the only reason you pick that story, right? Like, you gotta pick it to get Zendaya into the Galliano because, and I'll show you the other dress too, right? Perfect for the Garden of Time. And so when they figured out they couldn't honor Galliano the way that they wanted to, did they just pick a story that would lead the people to wear Galliano anyways? And not just anybody, like Zendaya the co-chair, Bad Bunny the other co-chair, and then of course Galliano himself showed up with Kim Kardashian, as you do. I wrote a whole essay about it because like it's actually mind-boggling, and I labored very hard to come up with a positive outcome to try and take some silver lining from this malarkey, because outside the Met steps people were protesting Palestine. They're saying like, hey, what the actual flip is happening here? This is madness. This is Hunger Games level. And I believe we need to like find a silver lining in all of this, because otherwise we're gonna go crazy. Go read the short story, read the essay and read the short story, and like see if you can find your own silver lining in it. But the one that I found was like third spaces, like not storming the castle walls. And I'm not saying don't protest, like, but like focusing most of our energy on building a new space, because the wealthy elite have shown that they're going to hoard and they're going to pluck these time flowers and they're going to do whatever they want to do to play by their rules until the end. And like that's how the story ends, and it's a dark ending that like by the time the last time flower is picked and the mob arrives, the estate is in decay and the count and the countess are statues. And like if there's a message for us there, it's like, turn away, build something new. Don't participate in these narratives, because the wealthy are going to keep doing what they want, when they want, for as long as they want. And I think we really need to give up like wanting the time flowers for ourselves. We got to find those third spaces. We got to build those third spaces. We got to create the beauty for ourselves.
Yeah, the Met Gala is just full of malarkey, isn't it? Man, if you think about it though, America has been the Hunger Games all along. You know, you could say, oh, there's things going on in Palestine right now, yet they're having the Met Gala, but there's literally been genocides all across the world while America's just been living their life. We just been here celebrating, doing our own thing, going to work, acting like nothing even happens. You know, there's silent genocides in Africa all the time, but we don't talk about those. So America is the definition of the Hunger Games. And it feels like now the American people are starting to get upset because the elite, you know, they didn't use all the wealth. Now they starting to take our wealth as well. You know, they're not giving us as much. So now we're like, yo, what's going on? We're the slaves now too? Come on, man.
talked about the Met Gala.
It's the Bohemian Groves of fashion show.
A lot of people are indicating that it has some ties to the Illuminati.
Ooh.
It seems like celebrities are all dressed up. They're like being initiated into this thing. You never see Beyonce on the red carpet anymore, but she is inside already. She's like in it. But what I thought was weird, every year there's a theme. The theme of this one was a ballad called The Garden of Time. This garden has these flowers in it that are called like time flowers. And at the beginning of the story, they're like walking in the garden, and all of a sudden he looks, and over the hill he sees this mass army. This army was filled with not rich people. He would pick these flowers. Every time he picked it, time would go back, but every time he picked it, it would advance a little further the next day. He eventually runs out of flowers to pick. By the time he picks the last flower, the army of people have gotten to his estate, but everything is in ruins. It's like a foreshadowing. By the time people go to get the things that the elites have had their whole lives, by the time they get to it, it's all destroyed. So that was the theme of the Met Gala.
Makes sense.
The Mississippian pot with the Sirius star. That's the all-seeing eye, bro. This come from where? Alabama. This come from Alabama. Near Mobile, Alabama. We know the truth now. That is the eye of Horus. The ancient teachings was the Sirius star. They turned that into a falcon eye. You thought this came from another country? This come from America, bro. This don't come from no damn Egypt. This don't come from this ain't no Hindu sign. This ain't none of that. This is mound builder signs, bro. Oh. Orion's belt inside the head. Where we found this at? Ohio. This ain't got nothing to do with no damn NA, man. This ain't got nothing to do with no NA. We the only people who built structures aligned with the star constellations. And they want to act like we crazy, bro. They want to act like we crazy. Like we don't know we've been here for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. I'm not just trying to prove we know damn Indian, bro.
We know the truth now.
He's saying they go deeper than that, way before the Indians.
You have something called African ancestry, and guess what you got too? Indigenous native ancestry. Why is there two different blood tests? So I even think it's something going on with that, on what they're doing with these DNA tests that's automatically bringing us back to Africa. There was a test done where this dude, it was a white man. He said that he had a suspicion about them lying with the DNA test, and he sent the saliva of his lizard to ancestry.com. Did you know his lizard came back 34% Nigerian?
It's a joke.
I'm just saying. So man, all this propaganda, man. And look, I don't care if they mad at me or not. All I'm saying is research what I'm saying. I know it sounds taboo, but what happened if the biggest conspiracy in the history of lies happened? And that is that we are indigenous from America. We come from America. We don't come from Africa. But in order for them to take the precious treasures of America, which we have oil, we have gold, we have copper, we have all of that here. They act like all this is in Africa. All this is here too. What happened if it was to drive us out, connect us back to Africa, for we want to go back home, and while we going back to so-called home, we're leaving our home and they taking over our land? I'm just saying, when you really think about it, then look, what happened if the maps is flipped? Because from my understanding of my studies, Lebanon, Illinois was called Lebanon before there was a Lebanon over there. What about Israel? Here. What about Judah, or what you would call Utah? This is here. You start getting into these old names. There's a city out here called Morocco. These are different cities. And what about Memphis? Where's Memphis at? Memphis, Tennessee. That has one of the oldest pyramids here. It's a pyramid in Memphis right now. They didn't put glass over. That's a real pyramid. But then you have a Memphis over there in where? Egypt. What about Cairo? Cairo, Illinois. That's here in the Americas. So we have these different cities in these different states named after stuff that's in Africa. But when you do deep research and study, these was named that here before it was named that there. I'm saying we got to talk about. Then you got stuff like Milwaukee. That's an Indian tribe name. You know what I'm saying? Chattanooga, Tennessee. That's an Indian name. So you start going, and then you got different sections in, because Missouri and Illinois is one of your most oldest places in the world. Where I'm from, one of your most oldest places. You got Chickasaw Street, you got Cherokee Street, and then you start seeing there's different museums around there that got all of our stuff in it. That got other people's faces on it. They have did this to the whole world, where they go around where ancient ancestral black people come from. They will change the faces to them, and then they'll take our history. So my belief, my research, my study shows that we are in the oldest parts of the world, which is ancient America. We are not from Africa. I do believe that all people of melanin descent do have some type of ancestral and DNA connection, but we are not all the same people, and we don't all keep or hold the same traditions. And I believe a lot of islanders, like such as yourself, actually come from the lower Americas, and it actually was a ship's trade there, where a lot of y'all went from the South America to the islands, but it didn't happen the other way, where we all came by millions on this big ass boat, stacked on each other like sardines, came over from Africa, from a port called Yehuda, all the way over into the Americas. And I haven't found any evidence that truly suggests that. Now, can you tamper with evidence and make things look like something? Yes, that's why we all think we're from Africa when we not.
Yo, dropping them gems, man. Look into it.
When you say rebuild the periodic table, what do you mean specifically?
Well, the way the periodic table is laid out, the periodic table they have now,
let's see.
It looks like a box. It looks like a straight box. But they don't show that hydrogen has the same tone as carbon.
What do you mean by tone?
Same tone, same key of E. Same key of E, 40.5 hertz. The next one would be like 81 hertz. You go to silicon, it will double up and would be 162 hertz. You'll go to cobalt and it'll be 324 hertz. It's take the angles of incidence or the tones that they create, their color. Like you can turn color back into sound based upon it's the same wavelength, it's just twice as long or much longer. So all you have to do is keep dividing light by 2. You keep dividing light by 2, and you'll ultimately get back to the audible sound of it, because there was a relationship between light and color, sound and tone, matter and shape. Walter Russell's periodic table that he put together. Now you compare that to Mendeleev's periodic table, and you'll see something completely different. It's unwinding.
Whoa.
And you see there's a relationship that hydrogen.
So you had figured this out at a young age?
I had already seen this. This was all inside of that palace. I had access to it, and I knew the relationship.
You saw this in dreams?
I saw it as a circle. Everything was a full circle laid out, and each area was just expanding, like wrapping a rag around your hand. The first wrap, it's so tight. This is how I saw it more so, but as a vortex. You'll see there's a relationship between hydrogen, carbon, silicon, cobalt, rhodium. They're all bonded. They're all sit as the middle point between two noble gases. So those things don't really exist. It's only one substance. Now the problem is, the first thing that we're able to perceive is hydrogen. That's the first visible element, because before it is too dense for us to perceive it. You understand what I'm saying? As you reach into the next octave, the carbon octave, and they call that a bisexual tone, because the carbon has 2 tones to it. It has a negative side and a positive side. The part where lithium behaves, lithium is contractive, beryllium is contractive, boron is contractive, but the moment you get to carbon, you balance it out. Gets to a perfect balance of plus and minus 4. So it's a double tone. Nitrogen is -3, oxygen is -2, fluorine is -1. Now the balance of this, all of those are mates. Fluorine and lithium naturally mate. If you have lithium bonded with any other element, the moment that fluorine is introduced, it will break all bonds violently so it can bond with fluorine. Same thing with beryllium and oxygen. That's why it said, and what they've tried to keep from us, if you want to break water into its component parts of hydrogen and oxygen, all you have to do is introduce beryllium or the sound of beryllium, and oxygen will violently break away from any other thing, even hydrogen, to bond with that beryllium.
Yo, who would have known Terence Howard is a genius? That's crazy. He wasn't an Iron Man no more, because obviously he's Superman. You feel me? Because he got all the knowledge.
This guy, he claims he saw, I don't even know what it is, but look, just watch this video. This has 3.8 million views right now.
You know how you can tell someone's walking behind you? I look back, and he's just fucking looking at me. He stops when I stop. So I walk forward a little bit, you know, I keep walking like that. And I said, fuck this shit, man. I turn around and I go, what? What's your fucking problem? I swear to God, on my mother's grave, this guy's eyes was jet fucking black. Jet fucking black. He said, there's my...
Oh, no.
Like that, man. I fucking turned around, I fucking ran. I said, fuck this shit, dude. Fuck this shit. I come home. I'm sitting out there where my street is. Like that fucking corner right there by that stop sign, that motherfucker was standing right fucking there, dude. Come in here, get my gun, look out again, he's gone. That dude was not fucking human.
Yo, okay, there's more.
Okay.
This is just the first one that went viral.
Yeah.
Fam, this guy has videos on videos on videos of crazy shit happening to him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play 2 of them for you.
Okay.
This is way too much. So I was looking at the comments, fam. Comments were saying those people are the fallen. That's what they call them, the fallen angels. And then they have special abilities that can maybe see your life through something.
So the 200 fallen angels is here right now?
So you're telling me that in 2024, a group of people on a boat can see something strange coming out the water that no one has ever seen, and it doesn't make national news? These people right here, check this out. So these folks right here were on a dinner cruise, correct? And all of a sudden they see a strange light coming out the ocean. And this is something that no one has ever seen before. But it doesn't make national news. But I want you guys to have a look and you let me know what you think this is in the comment section. Check this out.
Look, it's like it's spinning or something. Yo, that move. Oh, it just cut off. That move was rising up. Did y'all see it? We gotta find the actual video, not just somebody that reacted to it. We gotta find the actual video. My bad, y'all. I should have put the actual video in this one. I'm gonna try to find it though.
The driver take a gun and go like this, and the bullet comes out of the gun this slow. Very, very, very slow.
Trust nothing you see. For real. The 3 world wars.
The question of how and why the United Nations is the crux of the great conspiracy to destroy the sovereignty of the United States and the enslavement of the American people within a UN one-world dictatorship is a complete and unknown mystery to the vast majority of the American people. The reason for this unawareness of the frightening danger to our country and to the entire free world is simple. The masterminds behind this great conspiracy have absolute control of all of our mass communications media, especially television, the radio, the press, and Hollywood. We all know that our State Department, the Pentagon, and the White House have brazenly proclaimed that they have the right and the power to manage the news, to tell us not the truth, but what they want us to believe. They have seized that power on orders from their masters of the great conspiracy. And the objective is to brainwash the people into accepting the phony peace bait, to transform the United States into an enslaved unit of the United Nations one world government. Is that our so-called leaders in Washington, whom we elected to safeguard our nation and our Constitution, are the betrayers, and that behind them are a comparatively small group of men whose sole objective is to enslave the whole world of humanity in their satanic plot of one world government. Now, as a matter of further intelligence, a term used by the FBI, let me clarify the meaning of the expression, "he is a liberal." The enemy, meaning the one world conspirators, have seized upon that word liberal as a cover-up for their activities. It sounds so innocent and so humanitarian to be liberal. Will make sure that the person who calls himself a liberal or is described as a liberal is not in truth a red. Now then, this satanic plot was launched back in the 1760s when it first came into existence under the name of the Illuminati.
1760s, guys. Keep that in mind. Think about what happened in the 1700s. Certain things were founded.
This Illuminati was organized by one Adam Weishaupt, born a Jew, who was converted to Catholicism and became a Catholic priest, and then, at the behest of the then newly organized House of Rothschild, defected and organized the Illuminati. Naturally, the Rothschilds financed that operation. And every war since then, beginning with the French Revolution, has been promoted by the Illuminati, operating under various names and guises. In the United States, they set up what they called the Council on Foreign Relations, commonly referred to as the CFR. And this CFR is actually the Illuminati in the United States. And its hierarchy, the masterminds in control of the CFR, to a very great extent, are the descendants of the original Illuminati conspirators.
They are
But
related.
to conceal that fact, most of them changed their original family names to American-sounding names. For example, the true name of the Dillons, Clarence and Douglas Dillon, once Secretary of the U.S. Treasury Department, is Lepowski. There is a similar establishment of the Illuminati in England, operating under the name of the British Institute of International Affairs. There are similar secret Illuminati organizations in France, Germany, and other nations operating under different names. But at all times, the operations of these organizations were and are masterminded and controlled by the internationalist bankers, who in turn were and are controlled by the Rothschilds. Now, just why did the conspirators choose the word Illuminati for their satanic organization? Weishaupt himself said that the word is derived from Lucifer and means holders of the light, using the lie that his objective was to bring about a one-world government to enable those with mental ability to govern the world and prevent all wars in the future. In short, using the word peace on earth as his bait. Perhaps the most vital directive in Weishaupt's plan was to obtain absolute control of the press so that all news and information could be slanted, so that the masses could be convinced that a one-world government is the only solution to our many and varied problems. Now do you know who owns and controls our mass communications media? I'll tell you, practically all the movie lots in Hollywood is owned by the Lehmans, Kuhn Loeb and Company, Goldman Sachs, and other internationalist bankers. All the national radio and TV channels in the nation are owned and controlled by those same internationalist bankers. In 1834, the Italian revolutionary leader Giuseppe Mazzini was selected by the Illuminati to direct their revolutionary program throughout the world. Mazzini had enticed an American general named Albert Pike into the Illuminati. Pike was fascinated by the idea of a one-world government, and ultimately he became the head of this Luciferian conspiracy. Between 1859 and 1871, Pike, worked out a military blueprint for 3 world wars and various revolutions throughout the world, which he considered would forward the conspiracy to its final stage in the 20th century. Long before Marconi invented radio, the scientists in the Illuminati had found the means for Pike and the heads of his councils to communicate secretly. It was the discovery of that secret that enabled intelligence officers to understand how apparently unrelated incidents, one such as the assassination of an Austrian prince at Sarajevo, took place simultaneously throughout the world, which developed into a war or a revolution. Pike's plan was as simple as it has proved effective. It called for communism, Nazism, political Zionism, and other international movements be organized and used to foment 3 global world wars and at least 2 major revolutions. World War III is to be fomented by using the so-called controversies the agents of the Illuminati, operating under whatever new name, are now stirring up between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Muslim world. That war is to be directed in such a manner that all of Islam and political Zionism, Israel, will destroy each other, while at the same time the remaining nations, once more divided on this issue, will be forced to fight themselves into a state of complete exhaustion, physically, mentally, spiritually, and economically. Now, can any thinking person doubt that the intrigue now going on in the Near, Middle, and Far East is designed to accomplish that satanic objective? Pike himself foretold all this in a statement he made to Mazzini on August 15, 1871. Pike stated that after World War III is ended, those who will inspire to undisputed world domination will provoke the greatest social cataclysm the world has ever known. Quoting his own words, taken from the letter he wrote to Mazzini, and which letter is now catalogued in the British Museum in London, England, he said, "We shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists, and we shall provoke a great social cataclysm which in all its horror will show clearly to all nations the effect of absolute atheism, the origin of savagery and of most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere the people forced to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and the multitudes disillusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirits will be from that moment on without direction and leadership, and anxious for an ideal but without knowledge where to send its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out into public view, a manifestation which will result from a general reactionary movement which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. Anyway, the ending of the Civil War destroyed, temporarily, all chances of the House of Rothschild to get a clutch on our money system, such as they had acquired in Britain and other nations in Europe. I say temporarily because the Rothschilds and the masterminds of the conspiracy never quit. So they had to start from scratch, but they lost no time in getting started. Shortly after the Civil War, a young immigrant who called himself Jacob H. Schiff arrived in New York. Jacob was a young man with a mission for the House of Rothschild. Jacob was the son of a rabbi, born in one of Rothschild's houses in Frankfurt, Germany. After a comparatively brief training period in the Rothschilds' London bank, Jacob left for America with instructions to buy into a banking house, which was to be the springboard to acquire control of the money system of the United States. Actually, Jacob came here to carry out 4 specific assignments. Number 1, and most important, was to acquire control of America's money system. Number 2, find desirable men who, for a price, would be willing to serve as stooges for the great conspiracy and promote them into high places in our federal government, our Congress, in the U.S. Supreme Court, and all federal agencies. Number 3, create minority group strife throughout the nations, particularly between whites and blacks. Number 4, create a movement to destroy religion in the United States, but Christianity to be the chief target. In the final phases of the conspiracy, the one world government will consist of the king dictator, head of the United Nations, the CFR, and a few billionaires, economists, and scientists who have proved their devotion to the great conspiracy. All others are to be integrated into a vast conglomeration of mongrelized humanity, actually slaves.
Yo, that's probably one of the most crazy videos I've seen in a while. You know what I'm saying? Like when you find out the whole world and everything you know is just one big conspiracy. I mean, we've been saying it all the time, but there goes the proof for you guys. That was an old video from 1967. And you can tell some of them things are happening still till this day. I feel like it's a long agenda for them, and they're going to make sure that whatever they started out to do back then is going to get finished. You know, we are moving towards that one world centralized government, you know, and oh man, it's going to be wild. It's going to be wild. Hopefully there's some type of resistance. Who knows? But yeah, guys, these are some of the most strange and bizarre TikToks that are out there. If you like the content, don't forget to subscribe, turn your notification bells on, and until next time, YouTube, peace.